Welcome, fellow travelers, it's Mickey Gold. So today I wanted to talk about a couple things about the channel. So last week I put up a couple subliminals and I got a few requests for subliminals. So some of you might or might not know that I take requests. You can comment and ask for a request, or you can, I now have my email on this page here somewhere. It's somewhere around here, so if you find it, you can email me directly if you have something personal that you don't really want to put up in front of everybody on YouTube. And also, you can also reach me at Mickey Gold on Facebook, and it's the same little blue logo, and you can message me, or you can just friend me on Facebook. That's okay too, because it's connected to the channel, so it's all good. I will do requests for subliminals. I also do requests for meditation and for hypnosis because, you know, I don't mind having people give me suggestions on what they would like, because that would be super helpful, because I try to think of things that maybe people would enjoy. However, I don't always know what people are going through. So I can only put up certain things, and like a lot of times I'll pay attention to Facebook, and I notice I have different groups that I'm in. People will talk about, like for instance, when I put the Reiki up, people were wanting to learn Reiki and wanted to become initiated into it and different things. So sometimes that's what stimulates what I put up on here on what I do. And sometimes I'll hear people talking about the chakras and want to know. So sometimes I will do stuff on the chakras. So I want to know what interests you, if you'd like. So you can go ahead, like I said, send requests in. I will fulfill those requests, and I will put in parentheses that it is a request. I won't put your name or anything personal there, but I will just let everybody know it's a request. So that way, if someone's like, why is Mickey doing a subliminal on that? It's a request. So and no judgments. And but I know sometimes people are like, what's going on with you? So that's what's going on with that. I am going to be doing a weekly thing called Let's Get Stoned. Now, this has nothing to do with marijuana or any other drugs. This has to do with crystals or stones or minerals. And these are going to be short. These are not going to be super long. I plan on doing 2 at a time. And, you know, just kind of giving you some basic rundown, some fun little tips and facts and all sorts of things, because I like to be playful and I love crystals and stones. And I literally could give hour or so long lectures on that. However, it's YouTube, and most people's attention span on YouTube is not very long. I tend to actually like the people I watch. I tend to like, yay, you're doing an hour and 20 minutes, woohoo. However, that's me. So, and that's, I'm on my path, and the more I learn, the more I can teach. And so I enjoy watching long lectures and long talks and that sort of thing. However, I want to keep stuff simple, easy for us to kind of check things out. I like to check things out so that way you guys can get a little taste of something and learn something new maybe, or learn something in a different way, because I know that I think a little different than most people do. So I might be able to present something. There might be somebody else who's presenting the same thing I do. And I've noticed that too on certain days, that I will put something up and a couple hours later, somebody that I watch puts the exact same thing up, but in different wording. Sometimes it's just what's out there in the universe. So the next thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is, in the next couple weeks, I'm going to put up a shamanic journey. Now, when I say, when I refer to stuff as the journey or the path, this is not what I'm talking about. The shamanic and shamanism, they do something called a journey. That's kind of their form of trance, hypnosis, meditation type deal. And I have to be clear, I did not do any hardcore shamanic initiations. I was not in the Andes or the Amazon or any place like that. I did not lie in an open pit with being covered with leaves and dead stuff for 3 days, because some forms of shamanism takes that on. I did not. My initiations were pretty simple, and with just lots of hours of doing journeys and training. And so I feel I really resonate with shamanism because of the fact that everything is very metaphoric. And they actually have stuff about, finding your metaphor. But it's very much like the hero's journey. So for me, between the nature aspect of shamanism and between the fantasy of it, the world that doesn't exist anymore, the world of make-believe and play, that anything's possible, that it's sometimes referred to as a world between worlds. And sometimes this can be a little scary for people. However, if you come into this like a child, like if you think of this like somewhere between like, although these are not good analogies because they're not nature-based, but like Lord of the Rings, well, Lord of the Rings is. Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Star Wars, that sort of thing where it's the hero's journey. That sort of thing, magical, fantastical things. See, the thing is with most of us, and a lot of shamanism has to do with becoming whole and releasing trauma from ourselves. And here's the thing. Most of us, if we have trauma, even if it was like, for instance, an adult spouse that caused us trauma, probably it would be safe to say for most of us that we had trauma in our childhood. Most people don't come from idyllic childhoods to a horrible relationship. And now, I could be wrong. There might be examples, and sometimes being too idyllic and never really dealing with, if you were so Norman Rockwell, that you never had to deal with real life problems, it might be, you might have found something that hurt you. However, for the most part, most of us have trauma from our childhood, and that trauma tends to replay over and over again in different situations. A lot of times in psychology, especially if you're doing couples counseling and that sort of things, it has to do with stuff with our mother and our father. When we get together with somebody, that tends to, we work out our stuff from our childhood. So when we work with shamanism, we get to do a childhood. We get to be fantasizing. We get to imagine. So take it from that aspect, not from anything dark or, ooh, it's kind of a little weird. It's more of childhood. They deal with, like, the very first thing we are going to do is we're going to meet our power animal or our spirit animal. And that could be super fun. And if you aren't really into animals, one of my teachers said she actually has trees and flowers that were her spirit animals or spirit guides or power animals, whatever you'd like to refer to it. So that's one of the cool things is, who knows, you might get a jaguar, you might get a wolf. That's something in you that's really there, and that, you can imagine it guarding you when you go do something that you kind of feel a little afraid to do. However, I have to say, my spirit animal every single time, because some people, when they do multiple journeys, they'll get different spirit animals. I have only and always, and I've done quite a few of these for myself, gotten a hummingbird. And at first I was a little bummed because I was thinking I want something kind of like ferocious, and how is a hummingbird going to protect me? However, the really cool thing is when you find your power animal is that you can go look stuff up. There are plenty of resources to find out the meanings of your power animals. Just like when you have dreams, if you want to interpret your dreams, there are tons of books and tons of online resources to interpret your dreams. The same with the power animals. Different animals mean different things. Now, the thing about journeying is that we go into different worlds. Now, what can be scary for some people is when we talk about the lower world or the underworld. So if I mix the terms, if I call it the underworld, if you're into mythology, you might be thinking hell. That's not the case. We're more actually talking about our subconscious. And with all the stuff we've done, we are usually dealing with our subconscious mind. And again, you might see stuff, you might not see stuff. You might go into this just like as if it was a meditation or a hypnosis session, just the same, and just with a little more fantastical type of things. And just like with the subliminals, and if you do hypnotherapy with a hypnotherapist, They usually have you do the hypnotherapy for 21 days. Usually you'll go to a hypnotherapist a couple times a week, and you'll have a recording that you do in between for usually 21 to 28 days to make a long-lasting change. Some people get a change right away. Some people get a release right away. That's great. However, the more often we can replay these things, the more often we can do them, the better. So again, so with the lower world, don't be worried about the terminology. It is having to do with your subconscious mind. And again, you can take this as, like I said, a hypnosis or a visualization or a meditation session. It doesn't have to be anything more or less than you'd like. What we are going to be focusing on once we meet our power animal will be releasing something. So we're going to let go of something. We are going to find something that we have had in ourselves. It could be a hurt, a wound, physically, mentally, emotionally, and we are going to have it removed from us. Now, what's going to happen, so you can kind of play around with this for, until the meditation or the journey is up. And the reason I'm telling you this ahead of time before the journey is up, so you can think about it. And sometimes we can release stuff before we do it if we're thinking about it. However, we're thinking about something that you would like to let go of. And what we're going to do is we're going to replace it with something. And so that's the whole thing with that, is just to let something go. To meet your power, spirit, animal, and then to let something go. And hopefully it will be something that you can release and something that can feel really good for ourselves. I personally have been doing a lot of work on releasing things, and it's awesome. However, it is very tiring. When we let stuff go, it can be much like grief, because if we've had something, if we had a wound or hurt, and we've made that part of who we are, letting go can be painful. It can be, we might feel worse about stuff for a little while after, and then be like, why would I do that then? Well, because we want to be whole. We want to come back to wholeness. We want to come back and have that inner child, be happy, bright, and that will help our adult be a little happier, brighter in this world. That's what we need more of. We need more people connected to their inner child. We need more healed inner children, because how do we raise healthy, happy children in this world without actually knowing what it feels like to be happy and healthy as a child? And some of us don't get to do this until we're an adult. However, doing this sort of thing as an adult, awesome. Because then we can share that with other people. We can share what works with other people. So these are just some of the things that are coming up for the channel. So I hope you will be watching out for some of them. And I hope this finds you doing well. Peace, love, namaste.